How's it going? All right, so as you guys can see, no more lights on the dash, no VCS, VSC, whatever that was. The hybrid thing is no longer there. All right, I'm gonna go step by step and tell you guys what I did to configure this issue, to figure out what the issue was that was causing all of this. As far as I know at this point, okay? Because I've been actually driving around for a good hour now after taking the cable off the battery, and so far it hasn't come back on. Now yesterday it was popping up after a minute, 2 minutes, and even today it was popping up after a minute, 2 minutes. But right now it hasn't popped up at all, and I think I know why it hasn't. And I'm just gonna give you guys a list of troubleshooting that I did, because I'm sure if you guys have, you know, made a study of this through videos or Google, whatever, there are so many weird, and when I say weird, I mean things that you wouldn't suspect that would cause this issue. And I went through all of it as far as troubleshooting all that stuff. And I had my doubts on any of those things, to be honest with you. And I think I was right about having my doubts. All right, so first of all, let me see. So first of all, I pretty much, obviously, if you guys checked out my other video on this, just to keep you guys up to recent events and stuff like that, this is probably my last video on this, knowing what I know so far, and I think I do have it locked down as far as what this issue is that's causing it. And here's the thing, what I did was, okay, here's the thing. All right, gas cap. Somebody said that gas cap could cause this issue. It was tightened. I tightened it. I got gas. I was low on gas. I thought, whatever, anything could cause this issue. Got gas, tightened it a couple of times, heard a couple clicks. All right, so that didn't help the matter. Air filter. Somebody, I think I went and watched the video. Somebody said, well, I think maybe it was a Google post or whatever. Somebody said, the air filter, it might not be getting enough air. It might not be getting enough air. That's why, this comes up. No, that's so pretty much. I did change the air filter maybe like a couple months ago, maybe 2 months ago, and just in case it might have been the air filter, I actually, unhooked the air intake and then slid it out a little bit without hooking it in. Drove it around. That wasn't the issue. That wasn't the issue. And let me see what else. Fuses, relays. Checked out all the fuses. I don't think any of the relays actually affect this. Checked out all the fuses, and all the fuses were good. That wasn't a problem. 12-volt battery. 12-volt battery is brand new. I bought it a year ago. I bought the 12-volt battery a year ago, and I tested it out. It read fine. The ground wire, the terminals were all cleaned up. The terminals were all cleaned up. Now the ground wire, the part that hooks into the frame, I was going to clean it, but I didn't want to go through the trouble of disconnecting, taking the bolts off. If you guys know where that ground wire is, it's under the battery, connected to the frame. So I was like, I'll do that last. All right. So basically, all those things are things that have come up as far as other people giving their opinion on what causes this issue. And I highly doubt that any of those things would cause it. ABS sensor. Like ABS, the whole thing with the VCS, the little squiggly lines of traction control and stuff like that. It's a weird thing. Obviously, cars these days are very complicated and a lot of systems interconnected, but I didn't think that was had anything to do with it. It's more of like a computer issue. Okay, so basically, I mean, let me just go through what I did yesterday and today. Yesterday, like I already did a video of that. Go catch my other video if you guys want like a synopsis of what happened. But the last time that this came up, and then I disconnected the battery, the negative cable for a couple of minutes, popped it back in, and then I drove it. I was good for a couple months. All right, but then I realized, when I popped it in and I drove it for a good hour, and to a certain location to fix a vehicle, another one of my vehicles. But I had the car on for a good hour and a half because I needed the 12 volt to charge up my a tool that I had. So it was good. I mean, I was the car was on for a good couple hours, and then I used the car pretty much, often enough, I guess. Often enough. This is my second car. This is not my daily driver. All right. And I was good maybe for a month and a half or 2 months until yesterday when this came up, and it came up often. It came up, and then I tried doing the same thing, disconnecting the battery, popped it back on, it went off, and then it came back on a minute later. But here's the thing, I didn't drive anywhere. I didn't have it on for a long time. I might have had it on for maybe like So anyway, this morning, I was like, I don't drive this car enough. To get a sense of what's occurring. All right. First of all, there are no codes. All right. My suspicion was maybe it was the hybrid battery that was going bad on me, but there was no codes for that. All right. And normally there would be a code for that, which is a good thing for me because I really don't want to replace the hybrid battery. It's kind of expensive. I don't want that. All right. Just on a side note, somebody said it may be the brakes. Maybe your brakes need to be bled. Maybe the computerized brakes need to be bled. Here's the thing about what I know about my Highlander, Toyota hybrid Highlander, as far as working on it, and I've worked on it quite a bit. This is my second Highlander hybrid that I've had, within the same generation, which is I had a 2010. This is a 2008. I did the time belt on that other truck, and in doing a time belt, you'd have to disconnect the lines to the brake fluid reservoir, empty that out, and redo the put the brake fluid in after you're finished with that. Let me tell you something. Okay, here's a trick to that. All right, here's a trick to as far as the brake fluid. You're gonna have like brake issues. Well, you're gonna have brake issues like it's gonna beep and tell you have brake issues, and just keep on driving it. All right, after a good, I'd say 15-20 minutes of driving, it goes off, the brakes reset itself. The brakes are going to be real soft. They're going to be real soft. All right? And you're thinking you got to take it to the dealer for them to recalibrate the fluids because of the brake there's a brake, it's not the booster, but whatever it is, there's a computerized brake system, the brake box or whatever. But it wasn't the brakes. Just to keep this moving, it wasn't the brakes. Okay, it wasn't the brakes, the brake fluid, none of that stuff. Okay, so here's what I did. I drive this car not very often. I drive this car once every 2 weeks, if that. For maybe the last month and a half, I drive this car once every 2 weeks, if that. All right, and lately, within the last month and a half, I really didn't really drive this car a long distance when I drove it. When I did drive it, all right, maybe like I drove it maybe 6 to 10 miles at most. But drove it maybe like 6-10 miles at most. But here's the thing. All right, so today I was like, I gotta get a feel for what the issue is. So I'm gonna drive this around. All right, it drives fine with all the lights on the dash. It drives fine with all the messages on the screen. It drove fine. All right, I was getting AC. there was no difference in driving with all the lights on the dash and all that and the messages. All right, so I drove it for a good hour and a half, and whenever I needed to stop at a certain location to go to the bathroom, food, or whatever, I would keep it on. I would lock it, but I would keep it on. So it was on for a good hour and a half, and I stopped. I stopped at an AutoZone, and I did another reading on my OBD2. Did another reading, and there was no codes whatsoever. Okay, this situation gives no codes. Now, if you guys have a battery code, that's a whole different matter. Because if you guys have a battery code, that means your hybrid battery needs to be replaced, has issues or whatever. But I got no codes. I got the triangle. I had the triangle. I had the light of the traction control. I had the 2 messages with the hybrid system. Get it checked up at the dealer, and the other. What's the other message? I keep on forgetting. I already forgot. This is what I'm talking about. I forgot what I was talking. What I'm talking about. The issue I was talking about. But anyway. So I drove for an hour and a half. Okay, I kept it on. Checked out the fuses. Checked out the codes to see if there's any codes that came up. Nothing at all. And what I did was I took the terminal off the negative again, and popped it back on. Took it off, popped it back on, and waited for like 5 minutes for all the lights to come back on and the whole message to come back on. Guess what, guys? It didn't come on. So at that point, I suspected that this whole situation is probably because I didn't drive my car a lot. Now, this is a hybrid, all right? The whole system is computerized. I did read somewhere that, if you like you can do some damage. Is a negative thing if you don't drive your car a certain amount if you have a hybrid, because that hybrid battery needs to be charged up. I have a certain charge that go to it every now and then. It might cause an issue with the battery because it's not being charged. And I was like, okay, you know what? That does make sense. That does make sense because hybrid batteries are finicky. Lithium-ion batteries are finicky. Different temperatures causes them to react a certain way. I don't know if these are lithium-ion batteries or whatever. As we are, if you guys know anything about these hybrid electric cars, the battery, maintenance of the battery, weather conditions could affect the battery, cooling conditions could affect the batteries, etc., etc. So I was like, okay. It didn't pop on. Nothing came on 10 minutes. All right, and then I was thinking to myself, all right, so it seems all right. I'm gonna drive it a little bit more. So I drove it for an hour. I drove for an hour and a half. It's still on since I had it on, and guess what? Everything's good. Everything's good. So what's the so you're asking yourself what's the fix to this? The fix to this is from now on, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive my car. I'm gonna drive this hybrid at least once or maybe twice a week, and I'm gonna probably drive for an hour, maybe 30 minutes to an hour. I'm gonna hop in. I'm gonna keep it on for. I'm gonna drive it around. All right, I'm gonna drive it around because the whole charging takes place when your engine is on. All right, I'm not just gonna sit in there for 30 minutes because it's gonna come on and then. So I'm gonna drive it for like maybe 30 minutes to an hour every week, just to let the computer know, that it's being used, that just to charge it up a little bit, just to make sure that it gets, what's the word? It gets used, I guess, that it's being used, because I guess certain things if you don't use it enough, it gets, what's the word I'm trying to say? Anyway, anyway, so at this point, knowing what I know from the previous time this occurred and in the last 2 days that this has occurred, I'm pretty I think I actually solved the issue. I'm pretty secure in knowing that, me driving this for a good 3 hours today, knowing that what the issue is as far as what's causing this, and the issue is, this is not my opinion, because of all the troubleshooting steps that I went through. After driving it for an hour and a half, because yesterday, previous to starting this car, I didn't drive for like 2 weeks. So when it popped up, me taking the cables off the battery and then popping it back on, it cleared it, and then it came back on again after like a minute or two, and it kept on doing that. I wasn't driving anywhere. So today I drove it for like an hour and a half, popped it off, put it back on, drove for another hour and a half. Everything's good. Everything's back to normal. Everything is back to normal. So I'm just gonna say that this whole entire issue is probably caused by me not turning this car on or driving it for an extended period of time. Is my personal opinion on this. So if you guys have the same situation and you guys plugged in one of these OBD2 scanners and no codes come up, just do what I did, and take the cable off the battery. All right, popped it back in, let it turn on. Because last time I noticed, once it turned on, and you were able to drive it, but once you turn it off and then you turn it back on again, everything lights up, but the engine won't start. So what you want to do is you want to take the cable off the battery, all right, for a good couple of minutes, pop it back on, and once it turns on, it'll probably run, but it'll probably pop back on after maybe like a minute or two. All right, at that point, what you want to do is you probably want to just drive it around for like an hour or whatever. And chances are, if you guys are having this situation, it's probably because you don't actually drive your car all that often. You probably don't drive your hybrid all that often. And that's probably you're probably having the same situation as I did, where I didn't drive this car, because this is the second hybrid I've had. All right, no, wait, this is the second Highlander hybrid I've had, and that other Highlander hybrid was my daily car. All right, I drove that car like every day, everywhere, every day, everywhere. I drove that car. So I never once had that issue come up where the VCS, the VSC VCS, message came up, the whole hybrid thing, and then the three lights. That never came up once, and I had that car for a good couple years with 300,000 miles on it, and never came up. That message never once popped up, not once at all popped up. So with this situation with this car, I hardly ever drive it. I hardly ever drive this car. Once a couple of weeks, maybe I'll drive it, but it just sits. It just sits, and I think that's what's causing it. In fact, at this point, knowing what I've known as far as the troubleshooting is concerned, the last time this occurred, I drove it for an hour and a half, and I had the car on for at least a couple hours, and it was good for a couple months until I just let it sit. The last month and a half, I just pretty much let it sit, and I believe this is what caused it. So if you know, don't if you guys have the situation that came up and you guys did the whole code reader thing and there's no issues with anything else, just know, just do what I did. Just take the cable off the battery for a good couple of minutes, pop it back on, and then drive it around for an hour and a half, and then if it comes back on, take it off again, pop it back on, drive it around some more. Chances are it probably won't pop back up again. And for you guys to keep it from this situation happening again, probably just drive it a little bit more regularly. It's a hybrid, so you don't want to just turn it on and just leave it, because there's a good chance, it only charges when the engine is on. So, when the engine is on when you're driving. So what you want to do is you actually want to just drive the car for a good period, for maybe like an hour or 2 hours each week. So, but anyway, hope this has helped you guys out. I'm pretty confident that I solved this issue at this point. There's nothing, it hasn't come up within the last hour and a half, 2 hours, and before that it was just popping up every couple minutes. So that's what I got, guys. Hope this has helped you guys out. If you guys have any kind of comments or your own personal situation, definitely leave a comment in the comments section. Please subscribe. Definitely please give me a thumbs up and all that good stuff. Right, guys? Take care.